volunteers for the ultra marathon. These tasks will range from the setup of the start area, marshalling the athletes on race day, and to perform the duties of route marshals, among others. This is the 97th Comrades Marathon. In recapping our top story this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa has officially informed Judge John Shope of his removal from office. This follows the National Assembly's recent impeachment vote, which saw 305 members of parliament vote in favour of his removal and 27 voted against. I'll be back with the headlines at the bottom of the hour. For SFM News, I am Nomalizo Mandela.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Your love is king, crown you in my heart. Your love is king, never need to part. Your kisses ring, round and round and round my head, touching the very part of me. It's making my soul sing, tearing the very heart of me. I'm crying out for more. Your love is king, crown you in my heart. Your love is king, you're the ruler of my heart. Your kisses ring, round and round and round my head, touching the very part of me. It's making my soul sing, I'm crying out for more. Your love is king, I'm coming up, I'm coming. You're making me dance inside. Your love is king, crown you in my heart. Your love is king, never need to part. Your kisses ring, round and round and round my head, touching the very part of me. It's making my soul sing, tearing the very heart of me. I'm crying out for more. Touching the very part of me, it's making my soul sing. I'm crying out for more. Your love is king. This is no blind faith. This is no sad or sorry dream. This is no blind faith. Your love is real. Gotta bury with our heart. Your love is king, never need to part.
It is the incomparable Sade coming through. That album was Diamond Life that was released back in 1984, if memory serves correctly. And the song written by herself, Sade Adu, and Stuart Matthewman, who, as you know, is one of the founding band members of Sade. And it was a lead single at the time that it was released. Gotta love every bit of music that this incredible group puts together. It will be a sad, sad day when they officially officially let us know that they are in retirement. I mean, they kind of in pseudo retirement. They go according to their own pace, really. I once caught an interview with them at the release of, what was that much anticipated album that came out in the early 2000s. I'm forgetting the name now. And they spoke about how generally it takes them about a decade to come together and release new music. And yes, good new music, because they need some time to breathe in between the projects and some time to live some life so that they can pen music that's got substance and that's timeless and transcends through the ages. It made perfect sense, right? And in between, they tour as and when they feel like it at the right places. Wouldn't that be a dream? This is how we open up the show this afternoon on The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. We've got lots on the agenda today by way of conversations. We're taking a look at university rankings, looking at some of the methodologies and metrics that are used to rank universities, and also exploring just how fair or unbiased these ranking systems are and whether or not they're even relevant moving into the future. We also are going to be touching base with the folks from the Johannesburg Festival of Women Writers and discuss that a little bit more. Coming up on the other side of 2 o'clock, we've been debating about this for at least the first 2 months of the year, whether or not we should have a spiritual, intuitive, clairvoyant, psychic, whatever you call them, reader, come through on the show. And then we finally decided, yes, why not? Let's get us a sidekick, a person who's intuitively connected to come through on the show and offer some readings. And so we're going to be opening the lines on the other side of 2 o'clock for that one. We'll tell you more about that just before it kicks off. For now, though, 086 000 2032, 061410 4107. Let's hold off. I know you want to get in front of the queue, but let's hold off on anything that's got to do with the sidekick for now. And let's focus on university rankings. By the way, do you think that it matters where a university is ranked? Do you send your children off to varsity depending on where it sort of sits in the tiers of varsity? UCT is regarded as one of the best universities in the world. I think the best university on the African continent. Would something like that matter to you? 086 000 2032 is the number you can call us on, or 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back.
Imagine a society where women and children could walk in the streets without the recurring fear of safety. Imagine a society where respect characterized our social interactions. Imagine a relationship where violence found no place. This world is possible if we unify our voices and actions in restoring the essence of our society. This International Women's Month, the GBVF Response Fund implores you to do your part towards a world free of gender-based violence and femicide. This is an SABC-supported initiative.
Fly better to your next holiday. Book your flights with Emirates to a holiday in Dubai, London, Istanbul, or Paris. Look forward to delicious regionally inspired cuisine, enjoy free-flowing premium drinks, and relax to your favorite movies on the way. Because it's not just about the destination, it's how you get there. This year, fly Emirates. Fly better.
Two champions will collide as EFC returns live this Thursday. Watch the first title defense of flyweight sensation Gift the Day Walker against the current bantamweight title holder, the legendary Nkazimulu King Shaka Zulu.
All hail King Shaka,
who aims to join teammate Dricus du Plessis and once more being a two-division champion of Africa. EFC 111 live this Thursday. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
It is the full circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM, leading the conversation. So we rank just about everything, right? The top 10 restaurants, the best cities that we can visit, the best movies to watch. And in order to understand whether or not rankings are any good, you'd also have to know how these rankings are done and who undertakes the rankings and some of the metrics that are used to measure such things. And we thought we'd catch up with Dr. Sean Muller, who is the senior researcher at the Johannesburg Institute for Advanced Studies, looking at university rankings and asking the question whether or not they are still relevant in today's construct, or whether they've ever been relevant. And I wonder if this comes into play when you are thinking about where your child should be going to school, or which varsities and colleges they should be considering for their tertiary education. Do you care where the university is ranked, both domestically as well as whether or not it's regarded globally? 086 000 2032 or 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. Dr. Sean, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm well, thanks, Bridget. How are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Okay, maybe let's start right there. Exactly. You know, how important are these rankings of colleges and universities, both locally and internationally?
Right. Well, I mean, let me start with what the conclusion has been of some of my analysis of this issue over a number of years. And that's basically that university rankings don't tell us much that we didn't already know. And in addition to that, they generate potentially quite harmful behaviors on the part of universities or other higher education institutions, which basically try to game the system to try and work their way up the rankings. So they'll adapt the decisions that they make within the institutions, how they allocate money, how they calculate certain metrics, who they employ, these sorts of things, in order to climb the rankings. And in the context of a country like South Africa, that's particularly harmful because arguably what we needed to do was think about how we actually wanted to structure our academic institutions for the role that they're supposed to play in society, both educational, research, and so forth. And instead, unfortunately, a lot of our institutions have ended up chasing these university rankings, and it's not really clear that there's been much benefit to society as a whole, and arguably it's been quite costly.
Yeah. So if I'm understanding you correct, bottom line, you're saying that rankings are neither here nor there.
Yes, that's pretty much, you know, the first article I wrote about this was back in 2013 when I first started working at the University of Cape Town, and I came across the obsession that some academic administrators had with these rankings. It struck me as quite bizarre, and I went to look at the formula. And this is one of the things you started with in your intro. So when you go to the formula, the thing is that these rankings are constructed by private companies. Basically, they found a niche in the markets to sort of sell these rankings and sell the data associated with the rankings. And what they do is they solicit this information from universities around the world. But the thing is, of course, if you want to compare a whole lot of very different institutions in very different countries, you need to go with some pretty simple metrics in order for all the universities to be able to answer in some kind of comparable way. And it turns out also that, so first of all, a lot of these metrics are very simplistic, but they also rely on things like reputation. So for example, I got one of these surveys once from one of these ranking companies, and it would say things like, have you heard of this particular university? Have you heard that its research is good or bad? So, and that was very bizarre. Some of the institutions I hadn't heard of, some I had, but my impression of them was quite superficial. So they also use these reputational measures, which are not great when it comes to research, but are even more bizarre when it comes to teaching. You know, if you're asking an academic at the University of Johannesburg what they think about the teaching at the University of Michigan, well, unless they've actually been there, what do they really know about it? So the formulas have many flaws. But, you know, if it was just these companies doing this process and nobody really paid any attention, then I guess that might be sort of harmless. But as it happens, and as you'll know from sort of media reports and the press statements that are often put out by our universities in South Africa, our academic administrators and even our higher education policymakers do take these rankings quite seriously.
Absolutely. And before we jump into perhaps, shifting to a more academic focus, let's just better understand also some of the ranking systems that are currently at play. What do they look like? Because in the article, you list a few that are globally recognized. Walk us through those. And do they have commonalities, particular perhaps characteristics or categories that make it standardized, whether you are ranking South African varsities, whether you are ranking American, et cetera,
Well, the argument that the rankings companies make is that they are trying to standardize the process. But the problem is that assumes that it is something that can be standardized. And the interesting thing is, and a number of other academics have raised this as well, is that this kind of approach wouldn't be taken very seriously by academics themselves in a scholarly context, right? The idea that you can just compare citation metrics, for example, for authors in the so-called Global South, basically, for example, and we know this from what's called scientometric analysis, so analysis of like citation patterns. If you're at a prestigious institution like Harvard and you publish a paper, you're probably going to get a lot more citations than somebody at, say, the University of Limpopo, who published the exact same paper in the exact same journal. It's just a prestige effect. Right? So it's not actually possible to standardize these kinds of measures. But in addition, you get some very strange consequences. So for example, you asked about different rankings companies, right? So one of the probably best known globally is the Times Higher Education Ranking. There's others, there's the QS ranking, which is also quite well known, and there's been a proliferation of other ones. And by the way, one of the reasons I think for the proliferation of alternative rankings is also because institutions that are not so happy with their results in some of the better known ranking systems would like to find some other ranking on which they do well. And you may notice also in if you go back to recent media reports, the more well-known ranking systems have also introduced subcategories. And so institutions that don't necessarily perform so well in the main rankings might perform well in a subcategory. So they might say, we're the 8th best institution in the world with a Department of Anthropology and Development Studies, because there's only 15 universities in the world with such a department, you see. So it's important to remember that these companies are providing a product. And if that product stops being useful to the institutions who are participating or the people who are using it, then they're going to lose money. So they have to kind of respond to those dynamics. But for example, if you look at like the Times Higher Education formula that they use things like, as I mentioned, teaching reputation, research reputation. They use citation measures. So that's how often academics in that university are cited by other academics in a given year. They look at things like patents, and then they also look at other things like the percentage of staff with doctorates, percentage of students who are international. It's a small proportion of the Times ranking. It's about, I think, 2.5% or something. But it's interesting because if you hold everything else equal, it means that if a South African institution appoints an international staff member, they benefit in the ranking. And if they appoint a local staff member, they lose out in the ranking, right? Now, personally, I'm very in favor of having a sort of diverse staff body, a cosmopolitan body, and so forth. But having said that, it wouldn't make sense, for example, for us to try and get our universities to employ as many foreign academics as possible, regardless of other criteria, right? So that's a nice example where the ranking priority is not necessarily the same as the national priority. But as I've said, another example of the kinds of problems that arise, and this is part of a bigger problem in global higher education. So in 2022, I published a book called The Incentivized University. And university rankings were one of the things that I raised concerns about, but also the use of publication metrics, publication quantity. In South Africa, we've got a research incentive for universities. So for every publication, every accredited publication that's produced by an academic in a South African university, the university gets a certain amount of money. And you wouldn't be surprised to know that there are various harmful consequences that have resulted from the adoption of the system. So we have these universities that instead of being governed and being directed based on the traditional values of like knowledge production and providing a good quality education to students and so forth, are instead chasing these metrics, which supposedly are proxies for those important things, but in practice are not very good proxies.
I get you. 086 000 2032 is the number you can call us on if you want to weigh in on this conversation, or 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note with some of your thoughts. Is it of importance to you where a varsity, a university ranks, whether it's ranked number 1, whether it's ranked number 10 or 50? Does it matter? Does it give it more status and prestige and academic prowess as far as you are concerned, or you don't even think about things like that, considering that I'm sure a lot of our listeners have children that are at varsity level or entering university or considering university in the next coming years, and do things like this matter to you? That is the conversation today as we try and understand university rankings with Dr. Sean Muller, who's a senior researcher at the Johannesburg Institute for Advanced Study. And whilst we sort of, how important is it? And I guess it probably is important, the sense of prestige, right? The sense of prestige and that comes with the association of being ranked high. And a lot of parents think about that. So as you talk about rankings of universities, parents go, yes, but I want my child to go to a school that is regarded as Ivy League or elite or associated with certain academics or certain individuals that are successful and globally prominent.
Yes, and it's interesting because I was thinking about that in preparing for this discussion. And those of us in academia might make the mistake of thinking that when it comes to prestige, a lot of these things are obvious. So if at least you're well versed in your discipline, and not all academics are, but if you are, you kind of have a sense of what the more prestigious departments and such are in your particular discipline or globally. But of course, many parents and many potential students are not familiar with the academic world, and they might not know, what's prestigious and what's not. So, if you use the rankings as a sort of indicator of prestige, that's probably accurate. But I think the thing that I would say is that for those who paid attention or knew about this in the past, the rankings probably don't tell us much new. We know that Harvard and Oxford and MIT and so forth are the more prestigious institutions. We don't need a ranking system to tell us that. But the other thing is, you mentioned about where parents want to send their children. And maybe let me take a personal example, because I got to do a master's at the University of Oxford. And the last time I checked, University of Oxford was in, I think it's top 3 or top 10, depending which ranking system you're going to use. And certainly the academics who taught me were very impressive on the research front. But I must say I was quite disappointed with the quality of the teaching, and I was in a class of 50 students at master's level. So what I discovered was that there wasn't necessarily a close correspondence between, for example, the overall ranking and the quality of the teaching, or, for example, the amount of time you had interacting with these star academics. So even when you just go down to that next practical level of where is my child, or where am I as a student going to get the best possible teaching, the ranking doesn't necessarily give you a lot of information on that. And then the other thing, of course, is that universities have a very wide variety of disciplines within them. So it might be that your particular area of expertise, again, I can take an example from the UK. There's University of East Anglia. Definitely not, most people will never, outside of the UK will never have heard of that university. But it actually has an excellent department in certain areas of microeconomics and competition economics.
I see.
And so, if you wanted to get a really good education in that, you might do better to go to this less prestigious university that has some really good academics and good courses in that area. So I don't think there's any substitute for that kind of sort of reading and background research.
Yeah. Let's hold it there for a second, Dr. Muller, and let's throw to Nomalizo Mandela, who's standing by with the headline news.
Thank you, Bridget. And in the headlines, the Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises is again meeting with the Department of Public Enterprises on the SAA Takatso deal this afternoon in a partially closed meeting. Last week, the media and public were unceremoniously kicked out of the meeting. In other news, President Cyril Ramaphosa has officially informed suspended Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe of his removal from office. This follows the National Assembly's recent impeachment vote, which saw 305 members of parliament voting in favor of his removal and 27 against. And police in Western Australia have charged a man with assault after a video emerged of two young children who had been restrained with cable ties. I'll be back with more details on these and other stories at the top of the hour.
You are listening to the Full Circle.
086 000 2032 is the number that you can give us a call on, or 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. If you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note, we're talking university rankings with Dr. Sean Muller. And of course, let's go to Jay in Somerset West. How are you, Jay?
I'm fine. I have a statement and a question.
Sure.
Okay, the statement is they have just discovered that the UK is in with China for developing weapons, and they found this out through university papers that, they're in cahoots to develop new weapons.
Okay.
Okay, my question is that I have noticed that African people from the whole of Africa come to universities in South Africa, and they seem to prefer a lot of people from outside the country rather than taking South Africans, which really annoys me. And then I find out that they get wonderful jobs when they're finished instead of our South African students. Mm-hmm. Now, what I want to know is, you said that, is it the lecturers who are coming from all over the world so the universities get more money, or is it the students? Do they come from all over the world? And the lecturers and the students, are they coming from the rest of Africa or the rest of the world? I'll listen on the radio.
Sure thing. Sure thing, Jay. Thank you. Let's go to, is it Khotso out in Midrand?
Yes, good day, sisters.
Yes, go ahead, Bruce.
Look, man, on the issue of rankings, there was also a study which I was reading just yesterday, which was done by vets, to say the issues of rankings has become a bit undesirable, because what's happening is that people who are rankings, let's start with the companies and agencies who are ranking these institutions. Somehow they are found to be wanting, or their system is flawed. Number one, we thought all along that the rankings, it goes with the research. Mm-hmm. Number two, it goes with the outputs of that particular university. Number three, it goes with the number of the postgrad which the universities manage to produce. Number four, it goes with the number of students registered in that particular year, in that particular university. Mm. And the last one is the issue of diversity, which I heard him. He gave an example about Harvard and the University of Limpopo. Mm. Yes, by and large, yes, you can't compare them. But to me, you should be careful, because you will be treading on the issues to do with class, the issues to do with race, and the issues to do with class society. Mm. Something which, when the higher education started with their program of merger of most of these institutions, university and technicons.
Khotso, brother, I have to ask you to right. Wrap up the point. Yes.
Yeah, they were closing that gap to do with class, race, and issues to do with diversity.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Khotso. Thank you. 086 000 2032 is the number you can call us on, or you can send a WhatsApp on 061 410 4107. Let's throw it back to you, Dr. Sean. So Jay there, bringing up the point about African students from outside of South Africa coming to South African universities, as well as international lecturers, and how much impact does this have in as far as varsities getting more money, more funding, more subsidizing, more sponsorship, more everything?
So let me start out with a key point, which is that I think it is very important to have a diverse and preferably cosmopolitan university population, right? It's being exposed to different perspectives, different backgrounds, different experiences is very valuable, and that's true within the country, but it's also true internationally. So I just want to kind of start with that point. So I think it's very important not to be overly nationalistic or overly closed to other groups or to international academics or students, right? So the point I was just making is that the ranking system nevertheless creates a kind of weird prioritization of whatever is foreign, right? And that's a strange thing to do. Okay. When it comes to actual financing, universities don't get any financial benefit from employing foreign academics, and they have to go through a process linked to the strict critical skills list, which is not a great list, but that's a story for another time. When it comes to foreign students, they do charge them higher rates than South African students, and that is in some sense appropriate because the government subsidizes, university fees, even if you leave out NSFAS and stuff, are in fact indirectly subsidized by the government. So it is appropriate that international students get charged more. So universities get more for those international students. I must say, I've done quite a bit of work on different issues in higher education. I haven't come across any evidence that South African students are being pushed out because universities get more money from foreign students. And I think an interesting analogy is also there was a recent outcry in the UK about exactly that kind of concern. That the universities, UK universities, had such a large proportion of foreign students. But when you actually dig into the details, what is happening at UK universities is that they are charging these foreign students a lot more, and those foreign students are actually cross-subsidizing the UK students. Right. So again, in South Africa, I don't think there's too much to be concerned about on that front. So that's in response to sort of to Jay's concerns. In relation to the points that Khotso makes, I think the one thing I would say is that, yes, he's right. These rankings are going to be affected by issues like race and class, and especially the similar kinds of issues when it comes to global positioning. So, I chose the example of Harvard and Limpopo deliberately. Limpopo could, the example that I used in one article I wrote is if you imagine taking Harvard and you just drop it, in Limpopo or somewhere like that, would it get the same ranking? And it would probably immediately drop in terms of prestige, just because of these kinds of global perceptions and whether people want it or not. But the other thing is, would we really want to do that? Would we really want South African universities to be playing exactly the same role that Harvard is doing? Not really, because our national priorities are quite different, our perspectives are different, the contributions that maybe we want to make to local and global knowledge are quite different. So this idea that all these universities are involved in the same competition is itself, a misplaced starting point. And just the final thing that I want to say about that is the important thing to remember about these rankings is that they're what we call a zero-sum game. So if one university moves up in the rankings, another university has to move down. But if our concern is increasing the quality of higher education across the world, then we could increase the quality across all universities, and the rankings would stay the same, right? There's still some universities that would score higher than others, so they wouldn't even reflect the kind of progress that we might be wanting.
Yeah. As we wrap it up, Willie in East London, let me let you have the penultimate word before we call it a day on this conversation. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Difficult to have the penultimate word on this one because it's a big one. And I followed the work of Sean, and I'm really impressed and grateful that we are talking about this. I just want to declare I work in higher education, and I think two of the things that I think suffer a lot from the rankings method is really languages, particularly our local languages. One university in Southern Africa was actually celebrating that it had attracted a Spanish lecturer to come and teach Spanish in their university setup. And what does the ranking system mean? Well, it might mean, at least to me, a neutering away of prioritization of the development of language. But the second one, which I think is crucial, is the work that we as academics should be doing for the community. In other words, the societies that we live around. You'll actually find that part of this neoliberal approach will then be to just drive for units and for outputs with little or no impact of academic work in feeding into the community. And I think that's the caution that we just need to be careful of. I support, and I think one of the biggest feeders to some of the so-called great universities in this country
are coming from your HDI institutions who are employing some of these lecturers with a solid grounding in terms of improving their agenda. But some of them come and complain back to say that a neoliberal approach of constantly seeing us as units with a commercial output and value that we must give to the university is really destroying us as academics.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your input, Willie. Well articulated. And you know what, Willie, we'll actually make that the final word because I have run out of time. Dr. Sean Muller, I appreciate the time with you and, of course, for unpacking some of this research for us. And Dr. Sean is a senior researcher at the Johannesburg Institute for Advanced Studies. It's just gone 22 at 2 o'clock. Let's take a quick break and then we come back and we talk all things the Johannesburg Festival of Women Writers.
I'm Michelle Constant. Join the JSB crew and I every Saturday and Sunday morning between 7 and 10 a.m. We promise to keep you informed and entertained with innovation, culture, cars, travel, life learnings, environment, and of course, your big fat juicy. Small stories, big ideas, massive inspiration. The Jet Set Breakfast on SAFM.
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation. SAFM. Prime time all day long.
Alrighty, it's time for us to talk all things the Johannesburg Festival of Women Writers, which is celebrating literary excellence and cultural diversity in Johannesburg. And this year, the festival is welcoming back Margaret Busby as the headliner for the second edition of the festival. And we thought we would chat to none other than highly acclaimed and celebrated fiction writer Sunyati, who's joining us, and she's got quite a few titles under her belt. A firm favorite of mine is A Family Affair, but that is just one of many titles. How are you doing, Sue?
I'm good, thanks, Bridget. Thank you for having us on your show.
It's only a pleasure. All right, it's the second edition of the Johannesburg Festival of Women Writers. For those who've not heard of the festival or weren't paying attention for its inauguration, give us a brief overview.
So it's a one-day affair, and essentially it's spearheaded by Mom Barbara Masinga. And the idea behind it was to celebrate, women in literature. I mean, if you think of the bygone days, women used to have to publish under pseudonyms. They couldn't publish it themselves. And now women are out there writing about issues that affect women and owning it. And so this is really a celebration of that freedom and autonomy that we've achieved as female writers.
And very important, the voice of female writers and the perspective of female writers as, of course, African histories are archived and continue to evolve.
Exactly. And it's important because the thing is, if you think of where we've come from, if we start from the era of Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen, Emily Bronte, and how we've evolved, to see black women as well. From white women to black women now dominating the space. And so it's very important as well because then when black women also write, they bring black issues to the fore. And so you see the history of it evolving in literature.
Absolutely. And there's also I'm seeing more and more now, there's quite the keen sort of development of writers getting into the business of writing and getting into publishing spaces. And I would venture that, a convening of this sort is also that exchange of idea and that exchange of knowledge and skill for the advancement of writers and particularly black female publishers.
I think also another big thing that has led to that is accessibility. I mean, if you think of how publishing has evolved, I mean, previously it's been, really the domain of, the big four, big five kind of publishers, the the well-known international publishers.
Yeah.
But with the advent of, e-books and self-publishing is becoming more popular. I mean, before, decades ago, being self-published was not something that was looked on favorably. They call it vanity publishing. And if you went that route, you weren't really acclaimed. I mean, people would say, why can't you get published mainstream? But I think as it's become more and more acceptable, you see a lot of writers now taking that route, which is great because not everyone will be published by a traditional publisher, but that doesn't mean their story is not worth publishing. And so it has really opened up because now we have a bigger playing field in terms of publishing and who has access as well to publish. Yeah.
And what does this do? As much as this festival is built, the Johannesburg Festival of Women Writers, it obviously brings together a whole plethora of voices, not just from South Africa or within our borders. But what does this do for the broader conversation of writers and literature, as well as publishing, on the continent? When you consider the fact that at some point in recent history, territories like Zimbabwe, for instance, had thriving publishing houses, well-respected publishing houses, and there's a need for that sort of institutional machinery to be reignited again.
The Zimbabwean story is a sad case. I'll just pick up on that because Irene Staunton of Weaver Press, announced that that was the last publishing house standing, and she's closed down.
Sure.
So there is really no publisher left in Zimbabwe. So there's been a lot of proliferation of self-publishing. And so, it's important because it's one thing to get published, but it's quite another to be visible. And festivals like these aim to do that, to give you visibility and give authors a voice and, and introduce them to audiences that they wouldn't necessarily come into contact with. So it's one thing to write, but it's another thing to be read. And so festivals really do give that platform and promote writers that you might not necessarily know.
Absolutely.
So we just as we have, well-known writers like, our headliner, Margaret Busby, we also pick, smaller unknown authors, emerging authors, upcoming, so that, everybody gets to be seen. Look, obviously we can't cover everyone. We don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
But we're also trying to do our own, thing in that literature space as well.
Absolutely. And Margaret Busby's story, a very important one, I think, for all black women, not just on the continents.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at her, she's of Ghanaian descent, and if you follow her narrative and how she set up her publishing, house, and she then gave voice to a lot more marginalized writers. So she really played a very important, role in our history of literature.
There's interesting stories being written right now, Sue. Lots of very exciting young authors coming out. We've gotten our hands on books by the likes of Janine Gillis, by the likes of Azola. What is that book? Oh, the title always escapes me. She was right here, the author of... what was that book? The ladies are looking at me dumbfounded now. But it will come to me in a second. But what I'm trying to drive at is that there's so many exciting young female writers that are coming to the fore really strongly and really just capturing the essence of the lived experience right now.
Exactly, and which I'll draw on our theme, mothers and daughters. So we have a lot of young writers, like you say, Moshitadi Lehlomela, the girl who survived her mother. It's a memoir about surviving abuse at the hands, of your mother.
Yeah.
And I found that there's a lot of books now coming up about the mother wound. And so it's become a very topical issue, which I think we need to address. I mean, Bonnie Mbuli first addressed it in her memoir.
Yeah,
many years ago, before it was even a thing. But now we see, there's a lot of shame about talking about that mother-daughter relationship, especially when it's not in a positive light. But now you find, especially the younger authors, are really broaching that subject and bringing it to the fore. And because this is an intergenerational, conversation that we're trying to have. I mean, how do we learn from our mothers if there's animosity?
Yeah.
Or older women, when there's that age dividend that seems to be traded off between older and younger women. And so these are some of the issues we're bringing to the fore and looking at some books that address those topics.
Absolutely. And the title I was looking for is The Thing with Zola by Zibusi Tole. Yes. A lovely light summer read.
I read it too. It's amazing, and we need more of those voices. Yeah. And especially we also need lighter books. I mean, people have always complained that, African fiction is heavy and dark. And so, it's a welcome reprieve to have books like that.
Yeah. I must admit, I don't know what they're reading, but I feel like African fiction offers such a whole gallery of books. I mean, you can get as dark as you want with Red Ink by Angela Makolwa. Yeah. You can get as light as you want with, The Thing About Zola. And, of course, as complex as you want with some of your titles, which really just grip the reader all the way through to the last page. A Family Affair, if you haven't read it, by the way, by Sue Nyathi, in my opinion, is Sue's number one book, in my humblest opinion.
There's always a huge debate. I always find that the people who like the polygamists love A Family Affair.
Yes.
And the ones that like the gold diggers like An Angel's Demise. So, it's always two camps.
Right? But I'll stick to my choice. Sue Nyathi, thank you so much for the conversation today.
No, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes. Can you just give me a second just to mention our Institute of Advanced Studies, and in conjunction with UJ, they're the ones who are actually hosting it. And we've got a lot of other sponsors: Gautrain, the British Council, Anglo Gold Ashanti, Build Africa, WDB, VCP, Value Capital Partners, and Puku.
Lovely. That was author Sue Nyathi coming through. And of course, the Johannesburg Festival of Women's Writers is being hosted at the Johannesburg Business School coming March the 10th. So that's just where are we today? I don't even know what date we are on today. In just a matter of days, March the 10th, if you have a vested interest for this one. And they've got quite the diverse lineup for the day, including a curated panel that also features the likes of Dr. Phumzile Mlambo Gancuka, so you definitely don't want to miss that. It's fast coming up to 2 o'clock, but first, Kids Corner before we come through with the 2 o'clock bulletin.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
I'm Balintli. I am afraid of clowns. I'm afraid of them because of the way they act and because of their appearance. I think I should stand in front of a clown to overcome my fear. I would ease my life by me being able to go to the circuses. Yes, I do think it's important to overcome fear as a child.
Hello everyone, I'm Mushfika Talib. The thing I'm most afraid of is failure. I'm scared of failure because I don't like the feeling I get when I fail in something. I always feel guilty and disappointed with myself because I know I could have done better. Something I can do to help myself manage my fear of failure is to keep working harder and maintain discipline when I'm working towards something so I don't end up flopping in the end. Personally, I think my fear of failure is actually a good thing for me. And the reason why I say this is because this fear is helping me a lot to push harder in whatever I'm doing, and it's keeping me from becoming unmotivated. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Good day, everyone. My name is Zamongozo Miyana. Well, I am afraid of reptiles, and the fear of reptiles is known as herthophobia. This is a common fear that many people experience. This includes any type of reptiles, but most often applies to snakes and lizards. Herthophobia is a type of anxiety disorder called specific phobia. People that have a specific phobia experience intense anxiety around the object of their fear. Well, I think it's fine if we're afraid of something or we have a fear of something, because that's what makes us all unique and that's what builds our character. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something new today. See you next time.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Arham Ahmed. I am 9 years old and I go to Brixton Primary School. I'm afraid of spiders because they look scary. To manage my fear, I try to learn about them and avoid situations where they might be. Overcoming this fear would help me enjoy nature without worry.
My name is Amaseka Kera. I am 11 years old. I am afraid of sleeping alone. When I sleep alone, I fear that someone will come and steal me. I feel safe when I sleep with my mom and dad, when my sisters and my grandmother. I fear about the stories that we see in the news about missing kids.
My name is Nkanyezi Hani and I am 9 years old. So, what am I afraid of is thunderstorms. While it's during the day, there's a big storm and lightning and thunder, I feel so terrified. But my mom makes me read stories, or she'll play with us in our bedroom, or we can sing a lovely, nice song while we're holding hands. And while it's in the night, and there's still a thunderstorm, I sleep with them. And that's what makes me less afraid.
Nonte Kakela here, and I'm 9 years old. I'm afraid of being in the dark. Luckily, my mother brought us the lights that power up when there's no electricity. Before she bought these lights, my sister and I used to use the torches on our phones. I think it's because of the movie that I once watched called Pinky Pink. I'm so scared of the dark.
Hello friends, when was the last time you had fear? What did you fear? Any fear you might have, remember it is just a basic human emotion. Fear is natural. We are born with it. Whenever we are in a situation where we are in danger or something that makes us feel unsafe, the nerve system in our body is programmed to have survival instincts that help us to respond to that situation. Therefore, having fear in most cases helps to protect us. It is like having an alarm that gives us signals to where we need to be cautious. Some children fear public speaking at school. Whether it is giving a report in class, speaking at an assembly, or reciting lines in the school play, speaking in front of others strikes a lot of fear. Now here's something interesting. You should not avoid situations or things you fear. It is wise to accept and be honest about the things you fear. If you avoid the things you fear or stay silent, this may not help you overcome your fear. In fact, your fear might get worse. Avoiding something scary or holding back to speak about it reinforces another fear and keeps it very strong. However, it is important that we accept and be honest about the things that frighten us. You can overcome fear by giving yourself a chance to learn about and gradually get used to the things or situations you're afraid of. For an example, people who fly despite the fear of flying can become used to unfamiliar sensations, like takeoff or turbulence. Eventually, they learn what to expect and have a chance to watch what others do to relax and enjoy the flight. Gradually facing fear helps someone overcome it. Remember the first time when you rode a roller coaster? How did you feel when you were at the peak of its steep trek after a long, slow climb? You knew what was about to happen, but there was no way you could avoid it at that moment. It was time to climb on that handrail. Palms sweating, heart beating, and braced yourself for the frightening journey down. Finally, you went down and you overcame your fear. You enjoyed the ride even more on the second, third, and fourth occasions. Now you can be sure to win some of your anxieties by speaking about them, learning about them, and confronting them step by step.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
In top stories this hour, more on SAA Takatso deal in Parliament and an Australian man charged for assaulting Indigenous children. Good afternoon. The Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises is again meeting with the Department of Public Enterprises on the SAA Takatso deal this afternoon in a partially closed sitting. Last week, the media and public were unceremoniously kicked out of the meeting. The Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, reportedly handed over documents regarding the deal to MPs. In 2021, the Takatso Consortium was announced as the preferred equity partner to buy a 51% stake in SAA. However, after a complaint to the Speaker's office alleging irregularities, she referred the matter to the Portfolio Committee for deliberations. The committee first heard evidence from the complainant, former Director General of Public Enterprises, Kgathatso Tlhakudi, who was himself fired for irregularities in employing a security manager. This was followed by evidence from Gordhan. President Cyril Ramaphosa has officially informed suspended Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe of his removal from office. This follows the National Assembly's recent impeachment vote, which saw 305 members of parliament voting in favor of his removal and 27 against. This makes Hlophe the first judge to be impeached since the dawn of democracy, and he loses all his benefits and pension. Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya explains.
President Ramaphosa has, in accordance with Section 1772 of the Constitution, removed Judge President Mandla Hlophe of the Western Cape Division of the High Court from judicial office. The action follows the National Assembly resolution to remove Judge Hlophe as stipulated in Section 1771B of the Constitution.
Home Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi has turned to the Constitutional Court in a final bid for leave to appeal the High Court in Pretoria's rulings, which invalidated his decision to terminate the Zimbabwe Exemption Permit, the ZEP, and granted an interim interdict which halts government from detaining or deporting any of the permit holders. After the High Court's refusal of leave to appeal, the Supreme Court of Appeal followed with its February order, which dismissed with costs Motsoaledi's application for special leave to appeal, citing no reasonable prospects for success. Kenny Mapang has the details.
In papers before the Apex Court, Director General of Home Affairs, Tommy Makote, submits that the Gauteng High Court erred when it contended that his answering affidavit in the main application was quote-unquote inadmissible hearsay during the appeal because it was not deposed to by the minister and should be disregarded. Makote also submits that the High Court inappropriately overemphasized the notion of public participation and whether it was a precondition for the minister to take his December 2021 decision to terminate the ZEP.
The South African Human Rights Commission says a police task team has been established in KwaZulu-Natal to investigate the assassination of members of Abahlali Basemjondolo movement. This after the commission wrote to President Cyril Ramaphosa to seek the intervention of the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security cluster in the human rights violation reportedly experienced by the movement and its members. Abahlali Basemjondolo is a socialist shack dwellers movement which primarily campaigns for land, housing and against xenophobia. Commissioner Philile Nduli says the organization has been receiving complaints for years.
The numbers of assassinations of members of Abahlali Basemjondolo is exponentially high. 24 members in the past 14 years have been assassinated and investigations have not been done. As a Human Rights Commission, we did over the years receive complaints from both individuals as well as organizations within the country, as well as international individuals as well as organizations who are concerned at the plight of Abahlali Basemjondolo.
The defense attorney of one of the accused in the Keenan A.K. Forbes murder case says the addition of a charge of money laundering will have to be probed. Defense attorney Yolanda Gillink was speaking to the SABC News at the Durban High Court today following the court appearance of 5 men in connection with the murders of Forbes and his friend Tebello Motswane. The state has added charges of money laundering to 10 counts that include murder, attempted murder, illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. Gillink, who represents accused number 3, Eddie Mieza, elaborates.
Count number 12 pertains to mine, where that's money laundering, which I can't
can't see, but I can't see that it's relevant here, how money laundering fits into this. But we'll have to ask further questions and see where we can go with that. My accused, his dad was a taxi owner. His dad passed away. He's not running taxi routes now. The family might have taken and carried on, but no, he's not himself. A lot of the guys are taxi owners, but no, he's not running a taxi per se.
And police in Western Australia have charged a man with assault after a video emerged of two young children who had been restrained with cable ties. The children, who are Indigenous Australians, can be heard crying as a middle-aged white man stands watching. The BBC's Phil Mercer has more details.
A 45-year-old man in Western Australia has been charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault. The police alleged he used excessive force to restrain children who'd been playing in a swimming pool at a vacant property. Police officers were called after reports of trespassing in the coastal town of Broome. Video of what appears to have been an act of vigilantism was widely shared on social media. Australian authorities are urging the local Indigenous community to remain calm and let justice run its course.
Recapping our top story this hour, the Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises is again meeting with the department on SAA Takatso deal this afternoon in a partially closed sitting. I'll be back with the headlines at the bottom of the hour. For SAFM News, I'm Nomalizo Mandela.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
Want to stay ahead of the financial game? Join us tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. for an insightful journey through the day's market developments, financial updates, and investment news. Tune in for your daily dose of financial intelligence as we navigate the twists and turns of the financial landscape with expert insights. Only on the SAFM Market Update.
SAFM Market Update with Jimmy Muyaha.
Every person, no matter who you are, what music you're inclined to listen to, and what you do with your weekends, you need a weekend playlist. It's that musical mix of music that accompanies the lazy weekends, whether catching up with friends and family or just taking some time to reflect. Tune in to The Soundtrack of Your Life with me, Ernest Pillay, Saturdays and Sundays, 1 to 4 on SAFM.
Zanzi's top spinners are back on the ground for a tire-screeching battle.
Here we go. You ready for some fun?
Stay glued to SABC TV channels on 16 March 2024 for a breathtaking experience of Red Bull Shine Moto.
Precision driving at its very best out there. This is Africa. Welcome to a world of spinning.
Do not miss out on the heated spinning by the greats of the sport. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
MasterChef, the biggest, most loved culinary TV show on the planet, is coming to S3. This fresh local version of MasterChef South Africa will cook up a storm on S3 for the first time in 2024. And you can enter on www.masterchefsa.tv and start prepping for the opportunity to win R1 million and, of course, the prestigious title of Mzansi's new MasterChef. Entries close on the 15th of March. Channel A Better You only on S3.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
I've never heard this rendition. It is a Bob Marley track, The Heathen, Thandiswa Mazwai, in live performance for this one. She is a big fan of Bob Marley. This I know, and I think even draws some of her influences from the legend. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it comes off her live in-concert album, Dance of the Forgotten Free. I stand to be corrected. That is Thandiswa Mazwai coming through with The Heathen. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on. Now you just have to call us. You have to call us for this one. I was about to say, or you can WhatsApp us, but because we are in conversation with intuitive soulful guide, as well as a psychic and manifestation coach, Bianca Anderson. It's probably best if you have a question for Bianca, if you need some spiritual guidance from Bianca, to give us a call on 086 000 2032. That is the number you can call. How are you doing, Bianca?
Good afternoon, Bridget. Good and you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Can't complain. You sound like you're in high spirits. I love it.
I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited.
I love it. So for those who want to know a little bit about Bianca Anderson, like I said, you are an intuitive soulful guide, psychic and manifestation coach. Somehow all three are interlinked but slightly different. Give us just an introduction as to who Bianca is and the kind of work that you do.
I go by Bianca Mishka on my socials. Mm-hmm. So if anybody does look for me, I don't go by Bianca Anderson in my workspace. So being a psychic and being a medium sort of led to becoming a manifestation coach. I've had vision since I was a child, and everybody does. Everybody experiences things when they're kids, and we are trained to forget them. Okay, we are trained to, this is not real, it's your imaginary friend. And my parents never did that with me. Yeah. My parents fostered my gifts. And as I grew, I left corporate in 2019. Well, I came to South Africa first, and I left corporate and started working, just doing psychic readings and crossing overs for people. But I then qualified as a life coach, because a lot of people, beyond wanting to know what's going to happen, they want to know how to deal with their right now. How do I get to that space that I want to be living in? How do I, create that dream for myself? And so I started including manifestation coaching within my practice.
Oh, interesting. And that's a buzzword these days, manifestation, right? And I think a lot of us kind of don't even know what that looks like in practical practice, or in practice rather. Jeez, the English.
So in practice, manifestation really comes down to aligning spiritual and physical practice. So when I coach my clients, if you watch my videos, I talk about manifestation techniques. Like there's something called scripting. So you write down what you want, okay? And you write it down 3 times a day, and, you do this exercise. But then you also have to take inspired action, okay? So when something comes knocking and is leading towards that opportunity, you jump at it.
Oh, I like that. I like how you explain it. Write it down, because thoughts become words and words become action.
Yes, focus goes where energy flows, so thoughts become things.
Oh, I like that. I think I'm probably missing the inspired action part of manifestation, and so I'm going to try implementing that. And of course, like you said, from a young age, you've always had, intuition. You've always been connected. And fortunately for you, as you say, your parents, fostered that. They supported that. But you took it one step further even. Then you started on a journey of of self-discovery and even including learning and various qualifications to your abilities.
Yes. So I was actually going to study law, and I had a bit of a crisis of faith in a investigation that was taking place, and I'd experienced some things, and I didn't know what to do. So I decided to come back to South Africa because I am originally from here, and I decided to come back to find myself, okay? But instead of undergoing a deep spiritual journey, I decided to just go back to work here. And essentially what happens is if you run from the universe is going to force your hand. Okay? So I started dabbling. I learned Reiki. I qualified in reflexology. I did my crystal healing. I did my life coaching. And I was reading on the side. And essentially what happened was a culmination of events that forced me to, and it was actually my husband, my darling husband, collected me from work one afternoon, and he looked at me in the car, and out of sheer frustration, he said, I don't know which Bianca's getting in the car. Is it PA Bianca or is it psychic Bianca? Because I never know what I'm going to get. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And he said to me, you need to choose now who you're going to be. And that was a very defining moment in my life path. In adding all of my tools together, I had a choice to make, and I chose to do this and help people. It's really about showing people that, yes, I can, I will tell you, and I will do forecasts, and I am a medium, so I do cross over and I do deal with the departed. But a lot of it is about empowering people to live their best life.
And whilst we are on that, your skill set and tapping into your spirituality and your gifts, how does it work for our callers that might want to engage you? What is the best way to go about it?
Right now?
Right now, yes. So what do we do? We get on the phone and...
they can just give me their names and give me their question. And essentially, I work in a soul space. So long as I have permission, I just answer the question.
Okay. You heard it from Bianca. You can give us a call right now on 086 000 2032 if there's something you want to learn more about or something you need a bit more clarity on. And any category is open for conversation, Bianca. Relationships, work.
Absolutely. The most common questions are at the moment around career, money, and relationships. Everyone's having a tough time.
Absolutely. So do give us a call on 086 000 2032. This is more of a calling engagement. Eric, I see you sending us your birth dates on WhatsApp, but perhaps if you gave us a call, that would be better, or if you allowed us to give you a call back, we'll absolutely do that. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on if you want to engage Bianca. She is, of course, standing by. She's a sidekick and intuitive soul guide. So if you need some guidance or some clarity on areas of your life, whether it be relationships, whether it be career and your professional journey and path, or perhaps, as you heard, Bianca is a medium, and who knows, she might be able today to reach through to the other side if you are fortunate enough and connect you to some of your ancestry. My producers are standing by for your call. We've got, should we start with Luzugo?
Hello.
How are you, Luzugo?
I'm fine, thank you. So,
go ahead, brother.
Okay, I've never done this, but I just want to find out. I have two daughters that have passed. Like, they were very small. I just wanted to, I don't know, I've just been wondering if they are fine or if all is well there or what's happening.
Okay.
And maybe financially, everyone, like Bianca is saying, everyone is going through it.
Okay. Bianca, is there anything you need?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. So the message that comes through for you is that you need to stop punishing yourself over this, okay? There's a lot of forgiveness necessary, and you need to start nurturing yourself, right? Be gentle with your body, okay? You don't need to keep holding on to things that could have been done differently. So there's a lot of peace there, but you need to find forgiveness for yourself in this.
Okay.
Lovely.
Okay.
And Luzugo, you said financially, any snapshots coming through?
Yes, so financially, there are new beginnings ahead. You need to stop procrastinating and be open to new challenges.
Lovely. Luzuko, I hope that gives you some peace of mind. 086 000 2032. Let's see who else is on the line. Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yes.
Yes, am I through now?
Yes.
Okay, you're speaking to Gogo.
Yes, Gogo.
Hi, Gogo.
Yes, and if you can please assist regarding money matters, financial, and relationships. Thank you.
Okay, so from a financial perspective, you are coming to the end of a difficult situation, okay? But you need to stay determined. Don't give up yet. From a relationship space, okay, you need to start trusting people just a little bit more. Let go of the hurt and open up, and you're going to see your dreams in your relationships come to fruition for you.
Sorry, from? The last part?
Your dreams, your happy ending, okay? The happy ending you want in a relationship is going to come forward for you.
Thank you very much.
Kuku uzotola utwa is what I'm hearing. 086 000 2032. Thank you, Kuku. Hello?
Hello, Mpo here.
Yes, Mpo, go ahead.
I have a grandfather who passed away in 2003, and I just wanted to know if he's okay where he is and to look at my financial and my future prospects.
Okay, I didn't get all of that.
Grandpa who passed away, and if you could look at his future prospects.
Yes.
Okay. So with regards to your granddad passing away, you need to undertake a spiritual journey. You need to start doing what is right for you. Okay, there's too much negotiation for what is right for everybody else. And if you start taking his advice that he gave you before he passed, right, you will start seeing professional success. There's a lot of potential in the coming months for you to grow from a professional perspective, from a workspace, and that will bring a lot of relief. But you are not doing what you were told to do or doing what you were taught to do. You're negotiating for other people, and that needs to stop.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the call, Mpo. Is it Reba? Reba, who's on the line next. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm fine, thank you.
Go ahead, Reba.
I just want to find out about my mother who passed away. I just want to know how she is, if she is okay. And then about my career, if I'm kind of stuck, I just need to know that is there something in the near future, or I should do something to make it better for myself.
Okay, so your mom needs you to know that she's watching over you. Okay, then you need to step into a space of gratitude a little bit. There's a lot of pain around this passing. There's a lot of heaviness. And you need to try and shift away from that into a space of healing and a space of gratitude, okay? The next 6 months, you need to follow your passion. You are ready for opportunities, okay? But you need to remember to maintain a balance and make work a little bit more fun.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Luende, how are you?
It's Monday.
Oh, Monday. Oh, Bapa Luende. How are you, Monday?
I'm good, thanks, and you, Sissy?
I'm good, but go ahead.
Mine is more to do with my father that passed away, and my finances. There's money that does not want to pay the employer. Just to find out about that as well as my relationship.
Sure, thank you.
Can you please repeat that for me?
His father that passed away, some money that should be coming into his orbit and relationship.
Okay, the money is definitely coming in. You need to have patience, okay? Keep reviewing the progress around this, and you're going to see success, okay? With regards to your dad, there's a lot of peace there. You need to surrender this, okay? There's a lot of, whatever he was suffering with, I need to tell you that there is peace, Okay, and from a relationship space, you need to really think about this for a little while before you start pursuing a deeper connection in the relationship space, because you're going to be so busy over the next 6 months.
You? I'm sure his girlfriend doesn't want to hear that.
No, I have to be honest. Unfortunately, I can't lie, and it's so important to tell people the truth. If you have to wait 6 months, right, for that better space, rather do that than commit and end up in a chaotic space while you go through all that growth. Because growth is amazing. We all want growth, but we forget that growth is challenging.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick pause with Bianca, but feel free to still give us a call on 086 000 2032 if there's any areas or different aspects of your life that you need some clarity on, and maybe you need Bianca's guidance on those particular issues. I see y'all on WhatsApp that are asking for Bianca's contact details, and we'll get her working contact details for those of you who might want to consult her privately, so that you can set up your own consultations with her on a one-on-one or however she works best. But if you do want to get just a highlight of what might be coming, 086 000 2032. Let's touch on over to Nomalizo Mandela, and I wonder if there's anything that Nomalizo would like to know about her future. Any categories, Nomalizo, that you feel you need some insight on?
I think I'll leave those to you and your guest there, Bridget, and I'll carry on with my headlines, which are the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, SCOPA, and the Special Investigating Unit, the SIU, have signed a memorandum of understanding to formalize cooperation with regard to the misuse of public finances. SCOPA chairperson Mkhuleko Hlengwa says the cooperation started in 2019 when they agreed with SIU that the committee would refer various cases for investigation to the SIU. In other news, the Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises is again meeting with the Department of Public Enterprises on the SAA Takatso deal this afternoon in a partially closed sitting. Last week, the media and public were unceremoniously kicked out of the meeting. And 5 serving British soldiers from the Special Forces Regiment, the SAS, are under investigation over allegations of potential war crimes in Syria. Details on these and other stories at the top of the hour.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We are in conversation with medium Bianca, who's joining us via the phone lines, and she's engaging with you for the next couple of moments. So if there are areas that you need some kind of clarity on, or you need some further guidance on, she is willing, open, and doing that for you this afternoon in the safest possible way. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can give us a shout on. We've got Usianda on the line. How are you?
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm great, Sianda. Go ahead, but.
Yes, ma'am. No, my both parents passed away. I know my mom, he passed on after a long illness, but my father is a mystery how he passed away. But it was a robbery, but we don't know really sure what happened. So I wanted me to connect with them and get a clarity to what happened to him.
Oh, okay. Bianca?
Sorry, I'm struggling to hear the callers.
Oh, his father passed away, and there seems to have been some kind of...
There's an issue around
that. Well, issue around his passing, and he was hoping perhaps if you are able to tap into his dad today, just to give some guidance around the passing, the incident of passing, if possible.
This is a heavy one. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of over-analysis around this, okay? There are going to be revelations around your father's passing, okay, but don't necessarily expect to be right in this. There are questions and there will be lingering questions, but you need to keep asking the right questions without over-analyzing the answers that you're getting. So dig, but accept what comes forward.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I hope that gives you some kind of clarity. And I wonder, Bianca, before we move on to our next caller, when doing such engagements, I can imagine that it might be also a little bit difficult to get even deeper. I hear a lot of the themes are around passings and death, but because we're also not interfacing face to face, I wonder if it becomes a little bit more difficult to get deeper into the subject with the caller.
When I cross over, okay, it becomes a lot more intimate, okay, and there's a lot of information I'm withholding because this is on a public forum, right? So if we had to do a session one-on-one, I would get much deeper than I'm getting right now because a lot of people want their questions answered, but you don't realize until it comes forward that you might not actually want other people to hear the rest of the story.
Makes sense for me. Keletso, how are you doing this afternoon?
Yeah.
Keletso?
Hello.
Yebo, yes. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Bianca. I wanted you to get around. My mom passed away. I was very young at that age, and recently my grandmother passed away. And I am still very unsettled about it because I feel like there's just a lot of unanswered questions regarding that. And also, I am in a relationship with a lot of ups and downs. So I just want you to take me through that in terms of what's happening.
Okay. So with regards to your grandmother, you need to know that there's peace there, and you need to let it go, okay? You can't change anything around this, but you are being divinely guided, and I think that the struggling that you're having, the challenges that you're having at the moment, right, you're being led in a new direction, and you need to take that, okay? With regards to your relationship, you need to consider taking a different approach here. Okay, you need to step back and have a look at your part in this picture, in the ups and downs, and try and find a different way. And once you start changing, your relationship's going to change.
Does it ring true for you, Keletso? You good? Okay, Keletso's gone. Let's get to our next line. I don't know who's on the line. Theo, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, Bianca. Just want to find out.
Hi.
I'm having a lot of family problems at the current moment for the last few months. My mom did pass away about 2.5 years back. And from then, the family has just drifted apart and there's major issues.
Yeah, but there's legal questions around what's happening within the family. Your mom was the glue that held the family together, okay? So when that decision maker and that person kind of steps out of the picture, the infighting is going to happen, okay? Now, there's questions about actual things. There's fighting around stuff and money and legal stuff. Just move yourself forward. Be understanding. This is how everybody's dealing with their pain. It's not the best way, but it's the way they're choosing to do it, and it happens. It's very normal, okay? Step out of the drama, okay, with absolute compassion, and you're going to move forward in an amazing way.
Good. And just my wife and my child, because my wife and my child have been caught up in this whole mess, and we have stepped out of it now, but just their well-being and things of that sort.
Okay, so you have an opportunity to resolve this, all right? But you need to step out of the drama. So even though you two have taken a step back, okay, there's still a lot of drama. Now, in order to resolve it, you need to step out of that drama, be patient with everybody, and be patient with yourself, and your child's going to be fine. Your child's going to be fine. Kids are amazing through this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Lovely. Thank you, Theo.
Thank you so much.
Let's sneak in a few more callers, Bianca. Let's see. Is it Tandinkosi? How are you? Tandinkosi? Ukona?
Yeah, I'm Ukona.
Okay. Go ahead, Bob.
I just wanted to find out a lot is happening with my finances, and if she can look into my life in general.
Okay. Thank you, Baba.
What was that?
A lot is happening with his finances. If you could peep into his life in general.
Okay. All right. So you are going to move forward, okay? You need to consider taking a different approach around money, but you have a lot to be grateful for. So instead of looking at what you're losing, have a look at what you've currently got, okay? Be grateful in that little bit. And there is the promise of financial success and a happy ending coming through between July and September. Things are really going to start to improve for you, but it's going to be baby steps.
Okay, I hope that helps. Let's take our next caller. How are you doing this afternoon? Hello?
Hello, I'm good. Yes, I'm good, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead, Butu. Who is it? Zungi? Zungisele. Okay, Baba, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I just lost my sister last year, and then 2020 I lost my brother. And I don't know what is going on with me.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a lot of heaviness here again, okay? You potentially need to take a trip somewhere. I don't know where, but there seems to be potential for travel and movement on your cards. You need to release the past, okay? You're going to grow from this, and you've got to acknowledge time. You need time. So don't expect to feel better tomorrow. Don't expect to feel better next week. There's a lot of loss in this. There's a lot of you've lost your foundation, really, and you need to take the process on of rebuilding that for yourself in small ways.
Let's, Bianca, take one more caller, and then we'll call it a day for today. Tsepo, how are you?
Yes, this is Tsepo.
Yes.
I was wondering if she could help me. I lost my father about 10 years ago, and it seems to be bothering me and troubling. But I just wanted to see if she can check maybe my finances and just sort of.
Okay, I didn't catch the last part, but I did catch that Tsepo lost his father about 10 years ago, and that still seems to be troubling him and finances.
Okay, so Tsepo needs to forgive the loss of his dad. That abandonment is a massive, massive sore point, okay? Now, you are in a space at the moment where you need to make bold decisions, ambitious decisions, okay? And be open to meeting people that are going to lead you in a direction where you're going to see better career growth and then better financial growth. But you need to let go of your negative thinking. It's really important.
Yeah. Bianca, I appreciate the time with you today, and hopefully our listeners got some kind of clarity and assistance from you. We got a few folks because I was encouraging, phone calls. I think probably just also hearing the voice and connecting with the energies that way works better than a voice note. Yes. But people are wondering, for private consultations, what would be the best way to make bookings or to be in contact with you?
Okay, so to make bookings, WhatsApp on 081 743 9928. Okay, and they can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Bianca Mishka.
At Bianca Mishka, Facebook and TikTok, and 081 743 9928 on WhatsApp if you want to message to make a booking. Thank you so much for your time and for allowing us to tap into your energies today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Bridget. It's so wonderful. I hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was Bianca Mishka. And of course, you heard, you can find her on Facebook and TikTok, or you can WhatsApp her on 081 743 9928 if you want a private consultation, or if she said something today that you'd like to follow through privately with her on a one-on-one basis, you can book your consult then and explore it even further. Always interesting when we have these engagements live on air, because as you heard Bianca say, as much as we try to provide a safe space, there could be things that come out from her and things that she taps into that are super private and super sensitive that perhaps you don't want everyone else to hear about. And so, I find that psychics and mediums always give you just a broad overview until you reach out to them one-on-one. Let's take a quick break here, and then we'll have Aldrin Sampear coming through and let us know what's coming up today.
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation. SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. Stay on top of all meaningful, top trending stories right here on SAFM. Leading the conversation.
MasterChef, the biggest, most loved culinary TV show on the planet, is coming to S3. This fresh local version of MasterChef South Africa will cook up a storm on S3 for the first time in 2024. And of course, you can get your entry in at www.masterchefsa.tv and start prepping for the opportunity to win R1 million and that prestigious title of Mzansi's new MasterChef. Remember that entries close on the 15th of March. Channel a better you, only on S3.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, Bridget. How are you doing?
I'm great. All areas of his life are going well. Professionally,
We're trying to.
Romantically.
We're trying to. No, says but my kneecaps are dark from ukuqa uphansi uthandaze.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Look at you.
So,
walking in faith.
Exactly.
I love it.
Kneeling in faith.
I love it. What's coming up today?
Coming up on the show this afternoon, we're going to start off conversation with Clinton Ted Brown, who's a political affairs counselor of the U.S. mission to South Africa. He's joining us here in studio as we look also at the politics of America as they head into the elections. And of course, yesterday they had their Super Tuesday. And Trump won all of the states that were part of Super Tuesday, except for one. And the same happened for the same happened for Biden.
Yeah.
So chances are very, very high that in November we'll see a runoff between Biden and Trump once again.
I can't believe we're entering that era once again.
Yeah, we are back there.
I mean, we were even scared of South Africans to tweet nasty things because you're like, your visa will get revoked. Oh, my Lord.
So could Trump come back? Could Biden remain in office? So that's one of the discussions that we're having this afternoon. Also on the show this afternoon, we look at the outcomes of a report from the South African Human Rights Commission that looked into the issue around the regulation of learners' appearances and school uniforms in the educational institutions. So one of the recommendations, for instance, that they've made is that the National Department of Basic Education must immediately abolish any hair policies that differentiate between male and female learners and prescribed underwear for female learners. That practice of prescribing underwear for female learners must be eradicated and condemned.
What is that practice?
So female learners, because they would have a tunic on or they would have a skirt on, are in some schools required to have the same underwear.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I went to a school where your skirt must just be 4 fingers above the knee.
Yeah,
I don't know anything else.
The underwear as well, and the underwear is quite specific that
Really?
it doesn't go into, or I don't know.
No G-strings and things of that nature. Why
I wanted to say that. I didn't want it to say that. It feels so weird. It feels so weird. So yeah, we're speaking to Dr. Elaine Carter, the Provincial Manager of the South African Human Rights Commission, who's joining us for that conversation. And what's happening with our metros? So there is a story that's out now that the international ratings agency Moody's has downgraded the city of Ekurhuleni to further junk status.
Oh.
And now Tshwane has also now been placed on review for a downgrade outlook.
Oh, interesting. Hey, it's a lot happening.
It is a lot. And mind you, right now, we don't have water.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
And it's spilled citywide.
Yeah. Tshwane has the same problem. The city of Joburg has the same problem. I don't know what the extent is in Ekurhuleni around this particular problem. Rainwater has said that they've been able to fill up the reservoirs again. But yeah, it's a difficulty.
Yeah, it's more than a difficulty. What a wowza. Aldrin St. Pierre is coming up between 3 and 6 o'clock on Beyond the Headline.
The Northwest, the Provincial Legislature Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment, Tourism, Agriculture and Rural Development will conduct public hearings on the 6th of March on Climate Change Bill and Public Procurement Bill at Zirasta Municipal Hall, Naka Mudre Mulema, Potchefstroom Banquet Hall, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, Khanyisa Auditorium Hall, Dr. Ruth Sohomozi Mompati, and Mabudisa Community Hall in Muruleng, Buchanala District. All hearings start at 10 o'clock.
Coming up on the book reading.
Historically, the discursive persuasion involved a kind of praise singing or spoken word poetry about the woman's abilities, ancestry, beauty, or other physical, behavioral, and cultural assets, as well as the man's own assets. The best outcome in this love game is to get a yes at first shot.
Catch the book reading on SFM Monday to Thursday at 11:45 on the Talking Book.
The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
As always, we start off with how the markets have been moving throughout the day. Some very interesting moves, some that we will look at, some that Uncle David absolutely couldn't care less about. And he joins me now on the line, David Shapiro of Sasfin Wealth, to take a look at some of the market movements throughout the day. Good evening, Uncle David. Bitcoin, 62,000. You're unfazed.
Yeah.
Love it.
SFM Market Update with Jimmy Muyaha. Top Sport with Michael Abramson.
The news that former Kaizer Chiefs defender and a man who played for numerous clubs in South Africa, Siphiwe Mkhonza, has sadly passed away. His family confirming news of his death after struggling with a kidney infection.
First one, I pass my condolences to the family of Siphiwe Mkhonza. Hey, I know that guy long time while I was playing even on many Rangers, and when he left many Rangers, went to Kaizer Chiefs.
It's very sad, man, to hear of the passing on of Dr. Mnandi. May his soul rest in peace. To the Mkhonza family and the soccer fraternity at large, I would like to say, Agwehlanga Lingehlanga.
Top Sport on SAFM. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
As we wrap up the show, I wonder if you find or you found our conversation with Bianca helpful. What are your thoughts in as far as psychic mediums and spiritual guides are concerned? Do you think they are helpful in helping us guide through our lives and maybe getting better clarity on issues and circumstances around our lives? And do you consult? Do you consult people like a Bianca or maybe your local Sangoma? Is this something that you do on a regular basis, just to check in from time to time, which is right? And that is what I'm wondering now, because the weird thing is when we have mediums, and particularly, and I don't think we've ever opened the lines when we have abo gogo nabomkhulu, and we've had a few gogos nabomkhulus come in, but we always talk from a perspective of spirituality and all kinds of other topics, but we've never opened the line for such. And maybe because also from an African perspective, we almost know that you have to go to Ndumbeni. There's, certain things physically. But with a medium or someone who regards themselves as a psychic medium, you can have conversations, or it's the culture to have conversations over the phone. So my point is that I wonder if we'd have as many interactions if we had to have a gogo sitting here one day or mkulu sitting here one day willing to have a consultation. If we had a sangoma in the studio and they said that they were willing to have telephonic consultations, if you would call and WhatsApp as much as you do when we have a medium. And I wonder what would affect that. You know what I mean? What would affect that? Is it because you know that by and large, psychics and mediums will give you small information and they sensitize their information? And Abo Gogo Nabomkulu will just tell you, like, I wonder. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on. Do you consult? Do you consult Izangoma? Do you consult mediums, if we have to be Western, mediums and sidekicks? Do you feel that some people feel it's better to consult Amandu Bianca, the more Western mediums? They're a bit scared of, Izangoma Nenyanga. Some people think that it's one and the same. It's just a different methodology that's being used. We've got, is it Tukulu or Tsukulo? Tsukulo out in Harrismith. How are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm fantastic. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't know where to start, but I tried to come in earlier, but I failed.
Okay.
I just came in now.
Sure.
I've got a problem. I don't know. I don't know.
Bianca is gone, eh? So now we're just talking about consultation.
Yeah, no, I want to consult, but I don't trust these people because normally even these nyangas, I don't trust them.
Okay.
So I don't know if now I want to consult. Will everything comes right? Or not, because now the thing is, they say most of the time, if you don't believe, then you won't come right. Is it how true is that?
I wonder, and I've heard that myself, Butchikulu, that some people say if if you don't believe yourself, it means you are not open, which means energy isebenze.
Yeah, but consult. Now that's my problem. What to do?
Go consult, Puchukulu. Go consult. Nothing's going to happen. Go consult. Thank you for the call.
Okay, thank you.
And it can be tricky, right? Because some people have the curiosity. They want to consult, but they're apprehensive about it. And I think for me, sometimes I want mediums to be specific. I don't want you to be generic. I want you to be specific. Hey, we're Bridget. Paint me a picture, because then I don't doubt what you are saying. Then there's no doubt in my head. You know what I mean? Let's go to WhatsApp and see what's in your mind.
I pray. On my side, I'm not for and I'm not against. I just do not. And I'm not anti anything. I do not consult for anything. Call me Silver Lake.
Yeah, and there are people who don't. Hey, Kumi, they're not for, they're not against, they just don't. And sometimes I think it's part of the sort of the culture of the family that you grew up in. If you grew up in a family where consulting was normalized, you tend to be a bit more open. If you grew up in a family where consulting was not a thing, it tends to not be a thing. But also some people grow up in families where later on it becomes part of the family ways, but there'll be members of the family that just don't mess with it. They, interestingly enough, I was married into a family where my sister-in-law later became a sangoma, but my ex-husband just never believed in it. In fact, the entire family didn't believe in it, but they supported her through her journey. And she's still very much a practicing sangoma till today. Let's go to WhatsApp.
Hi, Bridget. You won't believe it. I once consulted, and the psychic told me that I'm going to have the best time of my life. I'm going to be in love. I'm going to have so much money that year. And when I tell you that whole year, I was the most broke. I was the most broke. It was hilarious.
Lee, let me make you my last caller for today. I've fast run out of time. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. And you, Bridget? First time I've spoken to you. How are you doing? You're great.
I'm great. Thank you so much, Lee. Yes.
Bridget, look, I want to speak to you, but I want to tell the guy who spoke earlier to say, no, I don't believe it. It's this, that. And the lady who just spoke to you now, she got, you cannot take everything verbatim.
Yes.
This is a guide. I'm psychic. I do Reiki. I've had feelings and dreams that have come true. But I don't harp on them and keep them and, oh, it's going to happen. Do it. Forget about it. If you want something in life, just forget it. Put it in your mind. You've got to just be and accept what the universe is giving you. The universe will give you what you need, not what you want.
Oh, I love that advice,
No,
Lee.
really, Bridget, there's no such thing as, oh, write this down 3 times. Oh, and turn around twice and fly up to the ceiling. It just doesn't work like that. Just put it out to the universe and carry on with your day.
Lee,
and that is
you have made my day. Thank you for being our last call. That was Lee in Johannesburg.
I'm so pleased I managed to get this silly message in because I'm a silly 75-year-old girl.
Oh, no, we love it. 75 and as spunky as a 25-year-old. That is how we wrap it up. In fact, on that note, John Edwards, I once sat in conversation with John Edwards in a previous life, the famous psychic medium, and he said that there are ethics to reading, and he believes, sangomas, whatever, everyone uses a different method, and he said there are ethics to what Lee is saying. Also, he reiterated, I tell you something, how I see it, it might not work out that way, and it doesn't mean keep it in the back of your mind, because then you might attract it, even though that was not the intention. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again tomorrow. Have a great day.
Do business big. Sign up to selected Telkom Business LTE and fiber deals and get a free NSBC voucher worth 3,950 rands. T's and C's apply.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
Top stories this hour: Scopa and SIU to work together, and UK soldiers investigated for war crimes in Syria. Good afternoon. The Standing Committee on Public Accounts, SCOPA, and the Special Investigating Unit, the SIU, have signed a Memorandum of Understanding to formalize cooperation with regard to the misuse of public finances. SCOPA Chairperson Mkhuleko Hlengwa says the cooperation started in 2019 when they agreed with SIU that the committee would refer various cases for investigation to the SIU. Hlengwa says the committee also identified that once the SIU investigations were concluded and reports were filed, the presidency could not keep track of how the SIU's referrals were implemented. He added that often these reports languish in government departments and state-owned entities without any action being taken against those allegedly responsible for the wrongdoing.
The MOU is to identify the roles and responsibilities of each party as they relate to reviewing the expenditure of public funds by scope of any organ of state and to pool resources to strengthen financial oversight and consequence management related to such misuse of public funds.
Meanwhile, the Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises is again meeting with the Department of Public Enterprises on the SAA Takatso deal this afternoon in a partially closed sitting. Last week, the media and public were unceremoniously kicked out of the meeting. The Minister